Writing is something which has always come kind of naturally to me. I remember in high school, my favorite subjects were always English, literature, and history because I was one of those few crazy students who actually enjoyed writing and researching essays. I liked the compare and contrast. I liked the DBQs. I liked the book and novel annotations. I would stay up till 3 in the morning working on writing assignments, not because I was running late or because I had to, but because I was genuinely obsessed with making them as perfect as they could be. I wanted my prose to be delicate, my flow to be immaculate. For the potential reader, who was really just my teacher, to hang on every word. I lived for the feedback they provided and the satisfaction I felt once a piece was finally finished, for the 100% written at the top of the page like a minted seal of approval. So then, if I was so obsessed, so smitten with putting word to page, why am I having trouble even writing out the script for this video? Why do I feel that no matter what I write down, no matter what fancy words I use, it will never be good enough? At what point did I decide that my own voice, my passion, was insufficient in comparison to the works I'd made in the past? The more I wrote, the more pieces I produced, the more I felt this rising expectation within myself to surpass what I'd previously written. Because what could my next piece be if not better than my best? When my best isn't just what I expect, but what I want so desperately out of myself. Eventually, my expectations rose so high that any work I feel isn't the pinnacle of modern writing itself simply isn't worth publishing, isn't worth finishing. I never went to college for writing or literature, though many of my high school teachers expected that I would. No, I decided to become an engineer. It seemed like a sound decision. I had never been interested in the institutions of academia or the thought of someone else restricting my creative process by withholding me to the realms of rules and standards. I'd long despised the notion that you could assign one correct interpretation to a subjective medium, or that all I would be doing is following what the literary world had already determined is the acceptable way to write. I didn't want to feel held back, didn't want to pursue something I was already good at. And after all, writers don't make money. As an engineer, I'd surely be set for life. Engineers are rich, I told myself. That's what everyone else said. And at the time, it made sense. I was in a club for robotics and I had a base level of intrigue in things like design, strategy, and problem solving. Why go to school for something like writing, which I enjoyed as a pastime, and ruin it by making it my job, by making it a chore, when instead I could make a career in something I could learn to love, something which I was kind of good at, but at the end of the workday could forget about. I rationalized to myself that by studying engineering, I was challenging myself rather than taking the easy path. I reasoned that despite my math being my worst and least favorite subject, I could become an engineer, make enough money to support myself, and use any excess to fund my true hobbies and passions. What a fool I was. So I went to school for engineering, got my degree, and secured a well-paying job. And believe me when I say that it was difficult making it that far. Sure, now I'm comfortable, I can afford basic necessities, and even take time off to pursue dream vacations once in a while. But I'm not happy. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs, and it makes my anxiety worse every day. My work is unfulfilling, and I despise corporate lifestyle. I'm a cog in a machine who's overworked, underpaid for the value I generate, and most of all, seen as replaceable. But no matter how unhappy I become, I feel trapped, like I have no choice but to continue down this path now that I'm already on it. I definitely make good money, but now money is all I think about. I rarely have time or energy for the things I want to do for myself. My life has stagnated. I've lost friends, given up on hobbies, and most of all, become complacent. And in all this time, I think I finally realized that this was the easy path. Convincing myself I was doing it to challenge myself, I gave up on the things I was really passionate about. I denied the things I was good at. Said it was impossible to become anything worthwhile with something like a writing degree. I chose a safe career path, one which would guarantee me a good job and steady income and the respect of my peers and my family, but which I didn't really have a strong passion for. And when you spend 8 hours every day doing something for years on end, having that passion matters. Making videos like these is one of my only real outlets. It's the only way for me to still feel connected to that old identity I had when I was a kid, of being a passionate and creative writer, an identity which I've long felt has drifted so far away from me that I question if I even have the skill to write what I want anymore. I'm distraught and ashamed that I can't make everything perfect all the time like I want. I have so many half-baked scripts and videos in the works about so many topics I want to discuss, but in between my real job, managing daily life, and just trying to take care of myself, I often find that these ideas rarely leave the drafting phase. I nitpick my work into oblivion to the point that I just want to withdraw back into my shell, saying it's too difficult to even be worth it. Because the truth is, I'm afraid of what people will think of my work, and I'm afraid to take any big risks which will expose my innermost thoughts. I'm afraid to overcome that initial hump of just getting started. But even more so, I'm afraid of my inner critic. I'm afraid to not meet my own expectations and these dumb restrictions I put on myself. I'm afraid to fail. Even now, I'm afraid of how this video will turn out. For me, this is my difficult path. As someone who struggled with diagnosed ADHD for my entire life, I know where a lot of these perceived failures come from. I obsess and I ruminate and I expect perfection where it's completely unnecessary. I have 500 things I want to work on at once, to the point that I overwhelm myself and just end up doing nothing. And I often feel repeated shame from my inability to both become everything I want to be in an instant, and my inability to just take those first few baby steps when recognizing how unrealistic that goal is. And when I feel shame over not working on these projects, it just makes me want to work on them even less, causing me to spiral all over again. But I want to feel like the work that I put into these things, even if it's just a little, even if I think the final product isn't perfect, are enough. And I'm working on it. When I was a little kid, I used to dream of being a YouTuber all the way back in like 2008. I literally bought a $60 shitty digital film camera from Walmart back in like 6th grade with all the money I'd saved up that year, just so I could go around to my friend's house and film us just messing around and acting crazy, trying to mimic all the popular YouTubers I looked up to at the time, like Smosh and Fred and Ray William Johnson. God, I sound so old. And I legitimately believed that it was gonna go somewhere. Fast forward to when I was entering middle and high school, and I deleted all of those old videos because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed of my carefree, childish whimsy from back then. And I think to this day, I still struggle with letting go of that fear of embarrassing myself, to openly express and be myself, to be proud of the things that I create. I miss feeling like that. I miss not caring what anyone thought about me and just doing and making whatever I wanted and being okay with not everything I make being perfect. So I guess here's to that. Here's to doing more things that are not perfect.